Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 3 of the GosuGamers series of Druidz versus Wahlin. Now this is round number 3 for the GosuGamers Steel Series World Cup. $40,000, that's a lot of money. And this is game number 3. So Druidz, of course, if you've been following along, took game number 1 with some very decisive play by their entire team. Took a while to win, but they did win. And of course, the big upset game number 2, Wahlin doing a huge push strategy and actually really nicely executing it at the end. The game was over an hour. It was a fantastic play. And everyone in attendance here is, of course, myself, the Four Court Jester, with Senior Strategy Specialist LukDeRiff, who's probably really tired right now. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all awake, man. The last game really put a huge smile on my face. But I mean, whoever does not like that game does not like HoN. It was so good. It was so good. However, we shall just jump right into this last deciding game when we start off naturally with the bans. So we have Tundra, Pebbles, Flint Beast with Defiler, Dr. Repulsor, and Pharah. So Defiler seems a bit odd, but if you watch the last game, you know why Defiler's banned. She played a huge part in that. Pebbles is banned because Revi destroyed Wahlin in the first game with Pebbles. Tundra is, as I said, probably the strongest hero in the game right now with providing that vision. Flint Beast was just a very good DPS range carry. Then you have Dr. Repulsor, who is just an auto ban, and Pharaoh, who's a really popular ban these days as well.
Yeah, the Dr. Repulsor streak continues. Dun dun dun. Anyways, yeah, so we're not going to see any of these heroes, and they all kind of do make sense. Typical bans, and then the situational bans based upon previous play. We are now into the picks. So, Druidz is actually getting first pick and first ban. They are on that Legion side, just exactly like they were game number 1. And they took that Thunderbringer. So, of course, trying to discourage Wahlin here from doing a tri-lane. Thunderbringer can destroy tri-lanes after getting a great solo mid or solo top. And he's going to definitely try to stay out of that. Speaking of a solo mid, I'm looking at a Wretched Hag. And either he's going to go in the long lane or going to be taking that solo mid. And a Witch Slayer. Haven't seen a Witch Slayer in a little bit.
Yeah, but you know which Slayers. Like I like to refer to him as the most versatile pickup in the game. There's no hero that can offer that many options, and it's gonna be really interesting how they turn it out. They again go for an extremely AoE heavy team like Thunderbringer, and Wretched Hag, lots and lots of magic damage, which they bring to the team. Of course, which layer was ultimate. It's gonna be pretty interesting how they, if they're gonna pick up some hard carries. They definitely have the potential to go for a trial lane, but with their ghost picks they probably wouldn't
Yeah, looking at that
because
Madman and
yeah,
Vindicator. You're probably right.
yeah, yeah, Vindicator's not really a strong and Vindicator. Oof. The odd picks continue.
We'll see how it
Yeah,
goes. We'll see how it goes.
yeah.
I'd be very
Hopefully they
interested to see
put.
Revy on a Madman. I really kind of want to see that. But that's enough
No, he
of
plays. He's gonna play ganker. He always plays gankers.
Druids. What do we got for Wallen?
We have Devourer, Voodoo Jester, Bubbles, and Sandwraith, and they go probably. It looks like a trial lane setup with Devourer in mid and Bubbles in the long lane, but we know Wahlin, they have shown us in the last game that they're in for some really crazy stuff. So it really depends on the last pick. I'm gonna be Hellbringer. That'd probably make a trial lane
Yeah, I'm
most
thinking
likely.
at this point it has to be that Tron. As you said, Bubbles in the long, Devourer mid. That
Hmm.
leaves 3 down there unless they pick up a jungler. So a jungler would definitely allow the 2-on-1 to continue. And at this point, I mean, looking at Sandwraith, he's a really, 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 really heavy carry, and you need to give him a lot of support early mid game so he can get the farm, get the items, and start turning people into a desert.
Yes, and that's true. So they definitely want the tri lane to secure Sandwraith's farm. That's going to be their main aim. While Devour again dominates mid game. The last game Devour played in the beginning really well. Kind of dropped off later on, but that's how Devour goes. Um, but in the beginning he did a very good job at picking people off
Hmm.
and dominating. So the basic idea is you get yourself really solid lanes. You give Devour a good start. maybe even gank his opponent once or twice. And then Devour starts dominating the enemy team. And while Devour's dominating, Sandwraith has all the time to farm. And in the end, Sandwraith kicks in and just, a farm Sandwraith is like, he gives you nightmares. There's nothing worse. He just walks around and kills people. He doesn't need to do anything because you can't kill him. It is so frustrating. However, I'm not sure what the Legion are gonna do with the lanes. They of course could run the tri lane with Madman, Witchslayer, and Vindicator, but that would, yeah,
just does not seem like an overwhelming tri lane at all.
It's pretty strong against Sandwraith, but just against Sandwraith. Voodoo Jester and Hellbringer have really low cooldown spells that they spam, and they want to spam. Like Hellbringer really wants to spam his Death Boil, and but Sandwraith doesn't have the spells to spam. He just has his Desert's Curse, and that has a pretty huge cooldown on it actually, and it's pretty mana hefty as well. So it's going to be really interesting what the Legion are going to try and do.
Well, while they set up, let's just take... I just want to make a good note here. We got 2 global ults on this Legion side. We, of course, have the Vindicator Silence, which is going to be huge for their initiation and team fights. And then, of course, you got the Thunderbringer Lightning Storm. It's just... I get always this impression of, He-Man, the power is mine, boom, things explode. But on the flip side for initiation, we do have, of course, Devour can just hook someone. We got Sandwraith who can just blow his ult, pick somewhere to go, and then everyone converge. Bubbles can just warp on in, and we got Mr. Initiate himself, the Hellbringer with Malphus. It's a very, very strong initiation team. I suspect a lot of the fights are going to be initiated by Wahlin, and we're going to be forced to blow everything from Druidz in defensive mode.
Yeah, but the Vindicator ultimate is so good in defensive use. Like they come in at you and you're like, shut up, and and then especially like heroes are really rely on their spells, like Devour does, like Voodoo Jester does. Sandwraith not that much, but you definitely want to get that Desert Curse off, onto someone on your prime target. Bubbles really heavily relies on the spells, and so does Hellbringer. So it is really, really strong. But it's gonna be, if your lanes don't work out in the end, then it doesn't matter. If the enemy has an advantage, they can work even if they have the inferior team, pushing lineup, inferior whatever lineup to yours. If they get stronger lanes, get a super strong head start, then that's not gonna matter. And it's gonna be really coming down to this, how successful this Vindicator can go, because he is a laner and you can't gank with him. You can't just roam with him. He's really sophisticated to this, like he's really attached to the lane. It's going to be really interesting how that turns out, and he's really, really squishy as well. So
does he actually have the lowest health pool at this time? 511, no, 492, beating him out, that Voodoo Jester. But either way, both of them very squishy, as you said. Now, he does have a lot of early game strength. He can just throw out that Sage's Lore, scatter people so often, and make them use their spells. So he's great against heroes that need that mana, because they just don't have that great a mana pool. So, I don't know. In this tri lane, I'm not too sure how well he's going to fare. There's a lot of AoE damage coming out between Blood Boil and, of course, the Voodoo Jester stun. Throw that in with the Desert's Curse, and, you're crying from all the damage, so to speak. But, so it will be tri-lane against tri-lane up top. Wretched Hag will be taking on Devour, already level 3s now. And is this a Bloodlust kill? No, it will not be a Bloodlust kill. She will be getting out of that. Okay, that leaves Thunderbringer and Bubbles down south. I don't think a Thunderbringer can take on a Bubbles, especially after looking at last game. But what do you think of that?
The Bubbles definitely has the advantage in that lane, especially with the silence, which is always strong against any hero and against any heavy spellcaster like Thunderbringer. Also, his long range harass is super strong. He's got superior range, superior everything, and Thunderbringer is gonna have a really hard time catching him. So I'd say that lane definitely goes into the favor of Bubbles.
Yeah, just checking it out, I mean, he's already used a lot. I think he's used all of his regen, that Thunderbringer, at this level 3. mark. I mean, about 2.5 minutes in, and that's really pretty superior considering we still have a lot of regen left on Bubbles. So I do think he is going to be forced out of lane to do a lot of regen and shopping early on. Now Devour against a Hag, that's a little bit more interesting. Could go either way depending on hooks landing and well-placed blinks. But we're probably going to be leaving a lot of attention up here on this tri-lane.
That's where like if Sundrave like gets a super strong start, if you feed him like 5 kills or something stupid, then it's gonna be so hard to stop him from farming, and you have to gank him all the time, and thus it's really important to actually just shut him down. Also, Madman can easily get out of hand. He is a super strong hard carry as well, so it's a really important lane. It's gonna be really important for either team to win that lane.
Indeed it will. Now we do have a level 1 Sage's lore on Vindicator. I haven't really seen him spamming it yet. Is he just waiting to get all 3 heroes encompassed, or is he trying to save his mana for defensive purposes at this point?
Yeah, the problem is like Hellbringer, if you put it on Hellbringer, and you have to always wait that he just spam this Death Boil, because he's not gonna hesitate to do so. He just spams away. The main target is gonna be the Sundrave. Look at his mana pool. He just throws out that Desert's Curse once, and 3/4 of his mana pool are gone. So he's probably gonna wait for Sundrave to drop low enough. But I don't know I just don't think that Vindicator in the trial lane works really well. He just does not. He doesn't have any kind of disable that really would assist killing. He's good. Like, he's a super strong hero if you want to put a hero, a dual lane in mid, because he can be super annoying in a dual lane, but he's not so strong in a tri lane.
Fair enough. Alright, so Thunderbringer, I guess, just dodged certain death there from Bubbles, but he has a courier on his way with that Chalice and another health potion. He's going to be doing some bottle ferrying. Out comes the Sage's lore up top, and really, yeah, Sundrave has no option at this point just to eat it. But I mean, he's a very heavy carry, as we said, for a good reason. He'll probably be okay from it here. Up top, it's just, I don't know, it's back and forth. It's really going over top of this ward, which is, of course, that offensive ward. Well, I guess it's actually a defensive ward in this case from Wahlin, as they were just trying to make sure, who's coming up at me. It does look like the first blood at this point could go to that Thunderbringer. Or, sorry, could be enacted upon that Thunderbringer. He is pretty low. A good Bubbles surfing with his silence could definitely take him out, but I don't know, at this point it's just we're hitting the 5-minute mark. We did have the Bloodlust about 5 minutes last game as well. Of course, last game was a little bit under special circumstances. So I don't know, very passive play so far.
Yeah, just look at the creep score though. Thunderbringer actually not doing too bad. It's just simply due to the fact that he just throws out his Chain Lightning all the time to get the creep kills. Giving him actually pretty solid farm. The problem, I just want to go back to that Tron.
I'm just going to interrupt you quickly. The Bloodlust is not going to go to that Bubbles because he threw out everything he could. It will go on that Sundrave up top. I just got to say the Bloodlust kill for you, Luke. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you were talking about?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. It was not all that important. So.
But Sundrave going down in his own tri lane, that's going to be really harsh for his farm. So much for that super strong start. But if Bubbles had been literally 2 or 3 seconds earlier, he would have had it himself.
Especially that Madman got the kill is pretty bad. Just look, comparing the two farm, like Madman's sitting at 250 gold, which is not exactly super excellent, but it's very decent. And Sundrave just at 180 gold. And Sundrave, I don't know how Nihil plays him, but most of the time you go for the Helm of the Black Legion into Mako Brilliance, and you want to get that up early. You want that Helm of the Black Legion and the Mako Brilliant by 25 minutes. That's kind of your aim. And if you can't get that, then that's going to be really tough.
Well, he already has a life tube, so he's well on his way to that Helm of the Black Legion that you're talking about. But yeah, it's still going to be a long way off, especially if the deaths rack up at this point. So Wahlin, Sundrave, level 3, fine. First death of the game gets bloodlusted upon. not the best stuff to happen. But Thunderbringer's kind of free farming to this point. We did have Wretched Hag go down south to say hello, but there was no one to say hello to, and a lot of pressure now being applied up top. Hellbringer might be going